Welcome to Kaizen Time, part of the Blood, Sweat, and Business podcast, where we provide constant improvement to businesses through timely, actionable financial solutions. Do you want answers to your financial questions? Email us at bsp@kaizencpas.com. I'm your host, Mark Valesky. Now let's get started. Welcome to Kaizen Time. I'm joined by Pierre, one of our managers here. Hello, Pierre.
How you doing, Mark?
I am doing wonderful. It's a new year, and we're looking at all these trends that are coming out. What are some things that we can expect? So let's break down the individual. We'll go down the list and kind of talk about each one. So
okay.
What's kind of the top thing that we can expect out of 2024?
So I looked at a number of places to find out what was going on. And we all feel like we know what's going on, and we won't know until it actually happens. But a number of places.
I just want to pause you. I never feel like I know what's going on.
Okay, fair enough. But so a lot of the time, the biggest thing is cybersecurity. You have to protect your stuff and your business and your website and your client list and everything. I feel like no matter what you do, from your cell phone to your bank account to your credit cards, you have to do all that for your customers too and your employees. So cybersecurity was on every list that I saw. And so I think that's a trend that's been going on for a couple of years now.
I want to dig into that right away because I hate that two-factor authentication. It's driving me crazy, and I have to do it for virtually everything. But that said, it is another layer of security, so there is a good point to it. And I can say, too, that in a previous position I had, we were hacked.
Oh,
and it
wow.
was an awful experience. We would process files, and I just walked into my office. I just finished this trade show, and I walk in, and my office is filled with all these files, like file folders, because we had to switch back to paper to process these orders. It crippled us for months on end. So it is costly, and of course, the FBI all of a sudden gets involved, and there's a lot happening, but it is a huge deal. So yes, that makes perfect sense. And it is sensitive information. In our specific world, it's incredibly sensitive information.
Yes, especially here. And I like to say the MFA, multi-factor authentication, is actually a 4-letter word because it drives you nuts during the day. But then, just like your seatbelt, pain in the butt to put on. But if you get in an accident, you want to have the multi-factor will try to protect you. All of a sudden you're grateful.
Right?
Now you're grateful. Yes,
all of a sudden
correct.
You're grateful, right?
So, but otherwise it does. I try to imagine Tom Cruise coming down into my office, trying to hack into my system, and my face isn't there and he can't get in. And I think we've just... Mission Impossible 12 is now out. Yeah. Some of the other things, artificial intelligence is another big trend that you're going to see. I've seen people, I participate in a nonprofit organization, and we were using it there just to come up with names of our fundraisers. Okay. And it was really good at it. Yeah. Like, wow, that was awesome. And so you'll see businesses try to use that artificial intelligence to make their products more likable or usable. And you're really going to see some leaps forward. And if everybody else is doing it and you're not, you're going to be behind that trend. So get ready to embrace that.
We've brought up artificial intelligence on this podcast multiple times. And one thing we kind of reiterate is it isn't the answer to everything, but you do want to start using it. And just get your toes wet is what I like to say. Just get a feel for it because it's going to become more and more involved. It's been in our phones a little bit here and there, not true artificial intelligence, but parts of it. It's going to become more and more a part of your life. So just getting kind of acclimated to it. I've been doing it for as soon as I could get my hands on artificial intelligence. I've been really enjoying some of the features, and it is a powerful tool. And just like what we were talking about with cybersecurity, there is also security with artificial intelligence that you need to be aware of. Companies need to be adopting policies. What can you put in? You're not just putting in. So perfect example, you're not just putting in client information into this learning machine.
Yes.
That other people are plugging into too. So you need to be really careful with it. So sensitive information is not something you ever want to put into it. But just putting in like, hey, come up with some names for yada yada. I know when before we had a name for my son, it would have been really useful. Like, give me 100 names that start with an A, that are at least 6 characters long. those are the kind of things that, it's just helpful for things that would be time consuming. You could copy and paste a full list of information that's kind of messy and say, hey, create a formatted spreadsheet based off of this. And it can do those things. It can take some very labor intensive information, or just something that's going to take you, again, very long amount of time, and clean it up for you in seconds. So that's really where I think it's going, at least right now.
Yeah, and similar to that, if you have to send a note to one of your clients to respond to a problem, run it through the AI, and it'll make you sound better.
It does do that. So. It does do that. Again, remember, sensitive information is a big no-no.
Yep.
But yes, it is very good at cleaning up messages. A lot of social platforms and so on have artificial intelligence built into it. The only problem I have with it is it's really getting easy to spot artificial intelligence, because now we're getting to the point where everything's so clean that people don't like it.
Make sure you misspell a word.
But it's not necessarily misspell a word. I had a conversation this weekend. We were talking about working with clients within the wedding industry, and the bride, who just so happened to be my niece, she was talking to me about it, and she said, she had two choices for vendors, and one was, kind of over the top, like, oh, we want to make this great experience. And the other person is just a normal guy.
Mm-hmm.
So you also got to be thinking about how your branding is, how you want to communicate. And artificial intelligence, it doesn't do that. It doesn't take into account those nuances that the typical person would put in without even thinking about it. At least at its current state. There are options within artificial intelligence that allow it, but currently that's not built in your basic.
But I think it does do. You're trying to say something, and it helps you get there.
I think it is one of the best features is that it can get you off on the right foot with very little effort. Yes, perfect. All right, what else are we seeing for 2024?
So I think one of the trends that you'd also like to see is that showing that your business is values first, profits second.
Okay.
Very hard to show that, but there was a very high number of reports had that as one of their trends. So don't make it look like you're out for the buck, even if you are.
You
gotta be benefits first with sustainable products, and I'm not saying you have to be woke or anything like that, but look out for the employee. It's the client's experience that they're going to look for that's going to differentiate you over other businesses.
You also have to think about it this way. Let's say I'm taking my car in, right? If they're worried more about making a profit off of me than actually making sure my car is fixed, that would be a problem to me.
Yes.
And, there's that credence to, hey, it takes more money, more time, effort, energy, everything to acquire a new client than to keep a current one, right? So if you just treat your clients right and you do right by them, they'll stick around. Yeah. So I think that makes tons of sense. Yep. What else?
I do think that you're also going to see more competition globally for your local business. I think of I got a guy who just sells mechanical parts, but the internet is flooded with those parts now. And where he only had to worry about the local 10 miles around him, now he has to worry about other companies from other countries coming in, because the internet and the technology is there for them to be able to sell their stuff. I know my son now sells T-shirts out of Montana.
Okay. Anywhere.
When you were in college and you were selling T-shirts, it was at the game that day. I think of the classic convicts versus Catholics, the old Boston College versus Miami. That's what I thought of a T-shirt sales. And now, he set up a business in no time, and he's out there selling T-shirts. Okay. So same with you. You think you're the only one selling your world famous barbecue sauce. Somebody else is going to come out there. They're going to see it because they'll see that you're making money on it, and then they're going to try to replicate it.
Yeah. So, a lot of businesses, their reach is now not required to their local market. That said, a lot of people still want to be local. Even for us, people want to come in and physically pick up their documents. They want to physically know. There is still that human element within, even though we're moving towards more and more artificial intelligence, more stuff done via email. There is a level of human connection that people do enjoy, right?
That was one of my next ones.
Really?
Maintaining the human touch with the technology. And like you said, people do want to come in and get their tax returns, but they're also in 18 states. And we have to communicate with those. We have to get the inventory from that other state. And it's really made the planet smaller. And that trend's been going on for a while.
Yeah. It seems that more and more work is getting done by fewer and fewer people. You getting that vibe?
I always felt that here.
Jeez. What I'm trying to say is, like, there is, because of all the changes within technology, we're getting more done. I remember when I first started entering the workforce, we were processing files, and they told me, Mark, if you can get like 18 done per day, you're set. Mm-hmm. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Cool. And by the time I left there, the average was at least 30, 36.
Crazy.
And that was the expectation. That was like the baseline. And I knew people who were probably closing in on 100. So the technology and some of the refining of processes really helped with that.
Yeah. It definitely helps with us here. If you talk about doing depreciation by hand, which is how we did it when I started, you can do...
Can we just take a little break and tell me what that was like?
So you would get this green general ledger work, and you would unfold it because you had all the years from that. For
those who are not watching this
from that bulldozer
on video, you're truly missing out.
And then if you ran out of columns, you would tape another sheet that added 8 more columns, and you just keep going on, and you had to follow each one down. Now it's all on the computer.
I bet it's on a spreadsheet.
And that saves a lot of time rather than having to track that and make sure you don't lose that. Mm-hmm. So that makes a big difference.
Where's that book? It's not in my office. Yeah. Oh, did Julie borrow it? Right? Yeah. No, I know exactly what you mean. All right, what is that? It? Or?
I think that's about. So obviously you gotta pick up your marketing skills and your marketing analysis, because everybody else is doing it too. They're going to see what else is out there. I think about when I was a kid on the Cape, the owner of the company would have us call the other fish markets to get the prices around, because they knew his voice. They didn't know who I was.
Okay.
And that was his market analysis to make sure he was in the right market. Now you can jump all over the internet to find out what people are doing, but you have to do it. You can't be out there selling this product for $10 and everybody else has it out there for $6.
I mean, you can. There just has to be a reason, right?
Yeah.
There has to be that level of value.
Or be ready to explain why. Yeah.
Yep. No, that is exactly it. All right. Well,
that's what I had. Yeah.
So essentially, if we were to wrap this all up and say this in one thing, what would you say? I already have my own. So I'll add that.
For me, I think it's cybersecurity is because that encompasses everything. You have to protect your stuff. So cybersecurity is my key word for 2024.
For me, it's going to be more about improving systems, which sort of touches on cybersecurity, but it looks like everything is just getting more and more refined. I think that's really happened, especially since COVID. Things started, everyone's tightening their belt and really looking at, do we need to be doing this?
Yeah, that's a good point.
All right, perfect. Well, thank you very much, Pierre.
All right, thank you. Have a great day.
You've been listening to Kaizen Time, part of the Blood, Sweat, and Business podcast. If you like what you heard, subscribe and leave a 5-star review. This podcast has been brought to you by Kaizen CPAs Plus Advisors, providing advisory and accounting services to help you grow your business. Learn more at kaizencpas.com or email us at bsb@kaizencpas.com.